Good evening. Welcome to the Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network. It's a balmy 49 degrees tonight in the podcast studio, so much better than the temperature we were dealing with last week. So anyway, want to take time to thank Patriot Patch Company for being the bandwidth sponsor. Make sure you check them out, patriotpatch.co. I would have showed off my January patch again, but I don't know where the hell it went. So instead, I will show off Circle of Life. So this little bad boy here, as you can see, comes in a sticker. It also comes in a vinyl morale patch. It also comes in a tin sign for your wall of your reloading room. If you'll notice, it starts and ends all the way. So if you look, it starts with the firing of the cartridge, and then you have your empty brass. And then you have your decapped brass, which means we push the primer out. Then we're sizing the brass, and we're putting a new primer in, and we're putting powder in, we're putting a bullet on, and we have a complete cartridge ready to go back into the firearm to be unloaded, because that's what we do. We load it so we can unload it. And I want to thank Firearms Radio Network for giving us a place to hang out every week. So what's everybody been doing? Well, don't all of you speak at once. Travis, what you been up to?
Well, I was talking to Stan from the Gun Dudes. Him and Carl went over to our buddy Full Taco's house over the weekend, and
I saw that.
And Taco was giving him some casting lessons. So that prompted me to get down and start doing some more casting of my own. So casted up some 9 and some 40 projectiles.
Nice. Jason, how about you, since Phil just dropped out?
Nothing.
Still working crap tons of overtime?
It's getting better. I've been trying to get some stuff done around the house now.
So at least Kathy's not so frustrated.
Exactly.
Yeah. Phil's in the same boat, so I'll speak for him while he's off playing with the interwebs or his computer or whatever he's arguing with where he disappeared to. Now that the furlough's over, everybody's working 7 days a week in his department, so he doesn't have time to breathe, much less do anything else. So Uncle Sam's pushing him hard to catch back up. So as for me, I was going to do some stuff Sunday and then woke up with a pinched nerve in my neck, and I could only turn my head about that far, so that very much killed anything I wanted to do on Sunday. So hopefully tomorrow night I'll have some time to get out the 366 and start loading up some shot shells. So, but Jake B has arrived in the chat, so we can start the show now. I guess I should do my intro over. Just kidding. Phil, I basically did a quick recap of your events of life while you were gone.
Yeah, sorry about that. Hangouts got a little grouchy with me and punted me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so
I have done absolutely nothing in Guns Are Reloading for a week. Haven't been slacking, been working lots and lots of overtime. Maybe one day I'll finally get around to restarting the project I had to put off on the side before all this started. But
okay. So, Jim is currently on assignment, so that's kind of what he's up to. He's off on a secret mission. So, the reason the press is still sitting on my bench is I was waiting for this to arrive, which is the quick release for the powder hopper. I was about to ship it out, and then I was going to ship it separate, but then Travis called me and said he had it, and he was going to ship it to me. One of the other things that Entirely Crimson has is a bottle opener. Nice aluminum machine, no sharp edges other than the one that you need to pop the top. So we're going to see how well it works. Because, I do have to pop my beer. You don't get to see me reaching over here to grab the beer because there's other crap in the way of the beer fridge. So we take it, put it on like this. Oh,
Hey,
that is a beauty. That is a finely designed beer opener. And, so. Wild Turkey wants to know what's up with the weather with Wisconsin. Well, see, when the groundhog popped out, first off, Pennsylvania's got Puxtawney Phil. Here in Wisconsin and Sun Prairie, we've got Jimmy. Jimmy might have been a little tipsy. It is Sun Prairie, it is Wisconsin. Why not share it with the groundhog? Hey. So he might have been a little tipsy and thought he saw his shadow and was just hungover on Sunday or Saturday, whenever it was. So that could be part of the weather. Otherwise, it's February in Wisconsin and the weather usually just sucks. I'm just happy that we got up into the 40s on Saturday and Sunday. So that was awesome. The nice thing is when it's this cold, it kind of helps keep the beer colder. So it's a beautiful thing. So what I wanted to show is, before we packed this up and shipped it off to Carl, is just how easy it is to actually install this awesome little thing. So it's actually going to probably be harder to get the stuff out of the package because they seal the screws and the nuts separately. So, all right. So we've got our handy dandy Allen wrench, but first we need to get this out of the way. Now I did unbolt this because it's coming off the bench as soon as we're done. So let me see if I can spin the camera over. Okay, so first thing you got to do is you got to get the arm out of the way. So start raising the press up, pop that out, and then the arm comes out like that. All right, so then we can flip the lever up out of the way and we can loosen the set screws, which I don't know if setting it on the tripod is going to help or not, so we'll just run with it for now. But we'll carefully come over, show you what we're looking at. My wife's car. So those set screws there, and that's kind of the assembly. So so we're going to pop those Allen screws out completely. And once you get them loose, what you can actually do is slide that little, and we'll just take them out all the way. So that's the factory setup right there. And now that it's loose, that comes apart. So the way this works, excuse me. And yeah, that's not going to work. Is you take these screws, and notice these have a spring on them. That's so you can get tension. And focus. So. And then if you look, that's actually recessed for the springs. So when it's all said and done, it sits in like that. Then you take, line it up. And just thread them in. And once you get them started, you can grab your old Allen wrench. And crank it on down. So what you got to do is you kind of keep it shift it around a little bit because you want to keep it so the Allen screws actually go in to the holes. And if you don't have it lined up right, it won't grab right. And then once you get to a certain depth, then you can adjust it so it actually locks. And I think I put it upside down.
And then don't forget to put the nylocks on, Mike.
Yeah, you got to run the bolts through fast, far enough. But I put it on upside down. So. And
I believe his instructions tell you to run the Allen screws in and then put the nylocks on so that they're almost just protruding past the nylon in the lock nut.
yeah, I'd have to. I didn't go to the website and look at the instructions. So, but the reason for the nylocks mainly is so that they don't back out on you. Because as you're sitting there, the Allen does tend to vibrate itself loose. So if you look, you see that little lead lip there? That's why it didn't work when it was upside down. Because there is an actual groove that it goes into. So. But anyway.
Yeah, I like those so much. I had to get Carl his, so while I was over there, I ordered a bunch more for myself for future powder dispensers.
Yeah, I got to get one for my 550 yet too. So. Yeah. Anyway. So the little nylock nuts. Go in the back. Like so. And I forgot to grab a wrench for it. So I'll worry about that later. But yeah, you definitely want to get it tight enough to maintain tension. Because otherwise, we're going to have a big old mess. So, but once you get it set, the idea is you can do that and the whole thing comes off. So, much easier. All right. So that's that. And now We can move that. So I have a little more elbow room. Anyway. All right. So what should we talk about tonight? Well, first off, oh, that's right. I didn't move that.
I was about to say we have a whole list of stuff we didn't touch last time.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if Jim cleared that out. I never even looked.
No, I'm looking at it right now. It's from the January 29th show notes.
Yeah. Okay. Good, he didn't. All right. So first off, I got to deal with this thing because it keeps crackling. All right. So first off is Cartridge Corner. And I don't have the cool sound effect yet. I'll get off the schneid and get that back on here for next week.
What?
But it's
Just in time.
Well, hello, Jim.
Hey,
Back from assignment, huh?
yeah.
So how you been? What you been doing?
Am I interrupting?
Nope.
Are you guys? Well, you guys are live. I've been working on my reloading area, not the bench yet, but I got some wall material up to protect the wall, and I did some painting, and I got a Just for Camera, and I just now left the Sand League Gun Club monthly meeting. I told you I couldn't make it, Mike, because the meeting is at 8. Well, evidently I was wrong. For whatever reason, they started at 7:30. And because I don't know anybody there and I don't really have much to say, I figure I'll make my bones, as it were. At the end, last Saturday of the month, when I take and go attend the work party. So
Yeah.
I'm that's all part and parcel of let them get to know me, make it a habit to attend the monthly meetings, all that sort of good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, no, I've made some progress on the bench. Well, the bench area this last week. I finally started feeling better after that terrible cold I had. Yeah, the terrible cold that Phil managed to try to take advantage of until he told him to go screw himself.
Now, Jim, that's an unfair mischaracterization. Would I really do that to you?
It's a matter of record, Phil. You know it. It's on record. Public record. You bum.
In a split second, I would. You do it to me.
You bet. But anyway, that's what I've been at, where I've been, and that's why I'm late, guys. Sorry about being late. So who's next?
Everybody else is done. So we were about to start Cartridge Corner.
I have no idea what the cartridge is, Mike.
That is the one that you left for me that we never got to.
Well, if you let me give me a second, I'll try to find it in show notes. We're on even or odd?
It's labeled odd. I just shared it in Hangout for you too.
Okay.
So 257 Weatherby.
Well, that's the cartridge I chose because I know that Mike has quite some little experience with, if you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
And
Bill put it in the chat too. So.
Okay.
Looking out for you.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So.
Waiting for my computer to load the screen.
Well, you're doing that. I'm going to dive into a question that somebody asked in the chat. And see if I can find an answer for it. Who was it? So they get credit. All right. So in the chat, old 1874 Iron asked, "Is it just me or is the 450 Bushmaster a 45 ACP super long?"
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, one of the things that tends to happen in this hobby is cartridges go away and then they come back, especially on a Wildcat. If it's been around for a long, long time, they tend to disappear and maybe come back with a different name because somebody else comes up with the same idea. I mean, honestly, we've only got so many diameters of bullets and so many diameters of brass. So as far as that goes, unless somebody comes up with a completely new piece of brass, it's entirely possible that something is similar to something old.
That is a problem we have with our metallic cartridge situation is, you know, what's the advantage of the 280 caliber versus the 30 caliber versus the 29 non-existent caliber? You know, and then there you go, then you could go into the Jack Connor corner for the 270 Winchester. You know, what are the big advantages of the diameter? Obviously, the 30 caliber has the advantage in diameter and weight over the 270 caliber, but yet, you know, you got that higher speed and that different ballistic coefficient, and then you throw the 284 caliber in there, 7mm with fabulous ballistics and high numbers and all that sort of thing. So it's like we're actually kind of limited because of there just isn't much room for expansion unless you're willing to put up with, you want to go up to 32 caliber. Well, it's already been tried and done, and quite successfully. It's called the 32 Winchester Special. 30-30. All right. Well, that's 30 caliber. Let's go up to 32, 33. Oh, that's 338 Lapua territory. Now we're talking about 338 rum. Now we're talking heavy caliber, heavy recoil. So you see, the physical limitations are just, you know, until we come up with something that doesn't require a metallic cartridge, we're kind of stuck with what we got, I'd say.
Yeah, kind of.
But that does not to say that we're limited, really. We're limited to what we have, but that's not much of a limitation.
Right. And you know, I was thinking, I'm trying to come up with Wildcat cartridges that we could do for the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been thinking different things, and no, lo and behold, it's been done. Lo and behold, it's been done. So what I came up with and thought about was a few years back, Rock Island and their parent company, Armscore, came up with the 22 TCM, which is a 9mm neck down to 224. My thought, since I'm a 40 freak, and I have a couple of 40 handguns that I can actually, you know, one I've got that I could actually swap barrels out on, was to do the same thing, only do it in 40. So I stopped by the booth at SHOT and talked to the guys, because before I do something like that, I want to make sure that it wasn't patented or anything like that, you know, that they didn't have it sitting there waiting in the wings and then they're going to release it, you know.
I know where you're going.
That would really suck, you know, if, you know, all of a sudden I come up with a Wildcat cartridge idea and I start doing it on the show, and then all of a sudden they release it as a, you know, a cartridge. They said no, they didn't, but they were positive that someone had done it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't even bother to look. I just decided that we go off to somewhere else. So.
Well, you know, the 40 caliber cartridge has been necked down to 357 SIG.
Right.
Now, you know, 224 is quite a bit smaller.
Wait a second. 400 Corbon?
Might be.
Wasn't that a 45 Winchester Magnum neck down to a 40 cal?
Could be.
I have to look it up because that just jumped.
Yeah.
Phil, you just muted yourself, buddy. In the middle of a sentence, you muted yourself.
Yeah, fingertips went faster than the brain did.
Yeah, you'll get that.
Especially running on limited sleep. 400 Corbon, meant to mimic 10mm auto cartridge in a 45 ASP form factor. Yeah, 400 Corbon. It's a basically a 45 ASP neck down to a 40 cal.
Yeah.
Well, a metallic cartridge like that going to be a bottleneck cartridge,
Mhm.
which means generally your dies are going to be steel dies, which means you're going to need to lubricate. You can get them in carbide, but even so, a tapered bottleneck cartridge like that is going to require lubrication.
Yeah, it's basically the three. It was the 357 SIG's older, bigger, meaner brother.
Mm-hmm.
Sammy maximum pressure 37,500 psi.
Out of a
That's
pistol?
pretty high.
Holy crap!
Yep, that's pretty high for a handgun.
I kind of want one.
Yeah.
But if I remember right, I mean, I think they only chambered like Desert Eagle and a couple other like metallic shooter handguns for it. I mean, there's a reason it's not very common anymore. It didn't really take off.
It's going to be quite expensive in factory ammo. It's going to be quite rare, and you're going to be quite limited in factory ammo.
What's that?
What's that?
Factory ammo. What's that?
Well, you know what? There are people that don't know what reloading is. They think reloading is when you refill a magazine.
No, but this does kind of illustrate a point I make to people very frequently when they talk about you can't save money reloading. With the right cartridge, you absolutely can.
True.
Because with something this esoteric that factory ammo is almost impossible to find, it's boutique, it's rare, it's expensive, you can absolutely shoot a cartridge like that regularly if you reload it yourself.
But again, how common are reloaders among the vast majority of gun owners and shooters?
If I'm
We're
the
a
only
rare
one that
bird.
gets to play with all the powder.
Yeah, we're a rare bird unto ourselves. And you keep just distilling it down, you know, how many bullet makers are there out there that do both cast and jacketed bullets? Right. You guys know where I'm going.
Yeah, I know.
Excuse me.
Anyway, sorry to sidebar us.
No, that's fine.
Okay, you answered the viewer's question.
No, looking for something that would actually possibly have it.
Well, while you're doing that, may I sidebar us again?
Absolutely.
Mark, you want to tag us on, copy paste this over back onto my last comment about what I did for this week. If you would, please, Mr.
Hey.
Hookup.
Jim?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
What?
Never mind. I was going to ask something, but never mind.
No, go ahead, please.
I forgot what it was. So I started looking at the manual again.
All right. Anyway, what I did, I did a couple things in the sense that we had the show, or did I? No, I talked about that. Ignore me. Don't mind me. I talked about the book and its DVD that I got to review. Okay, sorry about that. Never mind.
Carry on.
All right, the cartridge corner. Since Mike doesn't have the sound effect working yet, so we're going to just take and segue right into it. It was a 257 Weatherby Magnum. I chose that one on Mike's behalf because I know he has some experience with that, but it's also an Irish splitting Ladenboomer.
Yep.
It's a barrel burner. It might
Yep,
give you 1,500 rounds if you load that rascal hot enough. Anyway, so the 257 Weatherby Magnum is a 257 caliber, 6.35 millimeter belted bottleneck cartridge. It is one of the original standard length magnums developed by shortening the 375 H&H Magnum to approximately 2.5 inches. Of the cartridges developed by Roy Weatherby, the 257 Weatherby was known to have been his favorite, and the cartridge currently ranks third in the Weatherby cartridge sales after the 3378 Weatherby Magnum and the 300 Weatherby Magnum. That's another barrel burner, is a 378 Weatherby Magnum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're talking maybe 1,000, 1,500 rounds. Anyway, back to the 257. The 257 Weatherby Magnum is among one of the flattest shooting commercial cartridges there is. It is capable of firing a 115 grain nozzle ballistic tip at 3,400 feet per second. That's over double what an AR-15 shoots the 55 grain bullet at. I'm sorry, the weight is over double. The 55 grain FMJ, what an AR-15 shoots.
Oh, you want to know fast?
And it's it's going 3,400 feet per second. Though.
75 grain hollow point with
Good.
70.5 grains of IMR 4350. 4,000.
That's a 75 grain slug, guys.
Uh-huh.
Oh my! If it weren't so damned expensive, and I don't mean powder and bullets, I mean barrel life. If it weren't so damned expensive, I'd consider one.
But to draw a comparison, that's like a 77 grain Sierra Match King out of an AR, but what, a 40% velocity advantage?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, exactly. Now you got it right.
And a 90% recoil increase. Thank you very much.
But that's why I like to draw those comparisons, because like 77 grain Sierra Match Kings have an AR, most people have shot. So you can make an approximation for what 40% more velocity feels like.
Yeah, the recoil couldn't be that bad.
Oh, I bet it's impressive though.
Well, yeah, out of I'm talking about out of a standard Weatherby chassis, cartridge frame, or whatever you want to call it, out of standard rifle. Standard arm.
So I've shot Mausers.
Yeah.
I've shot Springfields.
Yes.
I had a 30-06 in a plastic chassis.
Ooh.
Lovely Remington 710 with absolutely no weight to absorb recoil.
Yeah.
None of them compare.
Really?
Weatherby. Same buddy has a 7 Rem mag, not the Ultra mag, just the regular Rem mag.
Mm-hmm. I got you.
And that is less kick than the 257 Weatherby.
Get out of here. 75 grain bullet?
117 grain.
117, okay.
Yeah,
you gotta think about
32 per second.
You got to think about how muzzle energy and energy in itself, just from physics base, is calculated. I mean, weight does not have as great of an increase on energy as velocity does, because it's mass times velocity squared. So as the velocity goes up, it has a much more dramatic increase upon the energy than just simply raising the mass.
I can see the equation.
Phil,
It's the reason.
Yeah, I can see the equation, Phil. I see what you mean. You square the velocity, but you don't you don't do anything to the mass other than multiply it.
Yeah. So I mean, where's that echo coming from?
Well, it's either you, me, or Jim, so I'll mute.
Mute.
There's no echo anymore.
How about now?
I heard you echo.
I heard you reverberate, Mike, or not Mike, Phil.
It's coming from me somehow, so I got to figure that out.
Hello, am I echoing, Phil?
No, you're good, Jim.
Okay. Mike, while you're trying to sort that out, if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and finish this article. The 257 Weatherby mag is among the one of the flattest shooting commercial cartridges. It is capable of firing 115 grain nozzle ballistic tip at 3,400 feet per second. That's a scorcher. Generating 2,952 foot-pounds of energy, which is comparable to factory loadings of the 30-06 Springfield and the 35 Wayland in terms of energy. That's right up there, guys. Now, that makes sense. After the discussion we just had, all that makes sense. Discrepancies between the metric and U.S. diameters of the bullet may cause some confusion. A 257 bullet has a metric bullet diameter of 6.53. However, in European cartridge designation nomenclature, for large part, relies on the bore diameter, as the bore diameter of the rifle is, notice I said bore diameter, not land diameter. As the bore diameter of the rifle is 0.250 inches, this would make a 257 Weatherby Magnum a 6.35 caliber cartridge rather than a 6.5 millimeter caliber cartridge. Here's a couple specs. I'm not going to go into all the sizes and everything, but the cartridge originated, it's a rifle cartridge that originated here in the United States. It was designed by the famous Roy Weatherby of the Weatherby Rifle Corporation and the Weatherby Ammunition Corporation. Designed back in 1944 Geez, that's even older than I am. It's yeah. Shut up, guys. Especially you.
Bullshit.
You too, Jason. How you doing, bud? Anyway, so it was produced from 1948 to the present. Yeah, produced from 1948 till the present, and the parent case is the 357 H&H. It takes a large primer, 65,000 psi, chamber pressure, and the rest of it I'll let you guys read in the show notes when Mike copies and pastes them over when he puts out the podcast. Okay, that's it from me, Mike.
Alrighty. Still haven't found anything on 45 ACP super long. So. And I went through a couple of the older manuals that I've got. So.
Was he being serious or facetious though? Because I kind of took it like.
Well, it's entirely possibly serious.
I don't know. I've always looked at the 450 Bushmaster and kind of thought to myself, so that's what a 45 long Colt looks like when you double its length.
Yeah. So, I mean, anything is possible. So. All right. Oh, 45 Super was created by Dean Grinnell. It's entirely possible. So, anyway. They're talking about Weatherby recoils. Yeah, 460, I imagine, will be brutal.
It is. I've shot a 458, and I thought the world thought I was going to pass out.
Yeah. As Paul said, the biggest thing we found with that is brass. Now, luckily, when it was still $40 for 20 rounds, he spent a lot of time doing just buying factory ammo. And the reason he got into hunting or reloading for those in the first place is they were getting rid of the bullet that he liked. So that's why we got into reloading it. So, but yeah, with that we wound up saving. Well, let's see here. At today's prices, 20 rounds of the 117 grain comparable that we were loading are $84.99 for 20.
That's $4.50 a cartridge. $4.25 a cartridge.
I was loading them for 75 cents a round.
Yep, I believe it.
So, as Phil said, pick the right cartridge, save a crap ton of money. Can you save money loading 9 and 223 5.56? Yeah. Not much, but you can.
Yeah.
I can reload 9mm for just about the same price we're paying for 22 rimfire.
4 cents, 5 cents a round?
Yep. And
I'm buying primers at 3 cents a piece.
Yeah.
And it cost me literally 1 extra penny to load 357 Magnum over what it cost me to load 38 Special.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess my point of view has always been,
Well, if you're casting, it's definitely cheaper.
oh yeah, I stay away from that black magic. That's all, y'all. But I guess my point of view is, there's some aspects of this hobby that are absolutely just because you enjoy doing it for the hobby. But then there are cartridges out there where what it costs you to reload is so much less than commercially available ammo. Yeah, it's absolutely cheaper. I mean, the whole reason my dad bought his first reloading press was to reload 44 Magnum.
Well, look at the rum family: 7 rum, 30 rum, 338 rum, whatever the Ultra Mag cartridges are being chambered in or calibered in or manufactured in, I should say.
Right.
Look at all those. Those guys are crazy expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But even so, the Weatherby is, of course, famous for being the most expensive.
Right. Well, when you go down to the local Chevy dealership and you start looking at Volts and Malibus and Impalas, it's one thing.
Yeah.
You walk over and look at a Corvette, you better bring your wallet.
Yep.
So
Or the Denali and the GMC line, or the
Cadillac.
Yeah.
what's the Cadillac name? Escalade. Oh my God.
Mhm.
You're looking.
always-
They're up at 80 grand now.
I always said if I win the lottery, I'm buying an Escalade and sending it off to Mossy Oak. Don't send it back until everything outside and inside the interior is camouflaged. Then it's getting a lift kit and 44 Super Swampers.
I can see that.
Fody foes.
That's right. So if I ever win the lottery, you know what I'll be rolling in. So anyway. So 284 win is the parent case of the 450. So it's not a 45 ACP long. So Daryl does bring up a point. You can tailor your round to your rifle and get way better accuracy. Yes, you can. Then you become a hand loader, not a reloader. So if you're hand loading and you're doing that much effort into it, even on 9 and 223s, you're definitely going to be saving some money.
Well, we've always postulated we can make better ammunition than what the factories can make for us.
And what's happened because of that? The factories had to step up their game.
You bet. And why? Because a lot of us are online, like we are right now, discussing problems with Remington, discussing problems with Winchester, etc. Spreading the word, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, go back to the dawn of the internet, broadband in the late 80s, bulletin boards and stuff like that, it kind of started there. But then once you started getting into early 90s to mid 90s, when AOL starts taking off and Netscape starts taking off, and you really start getting some more popular broadbands, some actual sites, bulletin boards, not broadbands. A lot more people started looking into hand loading, because now you're talking about factory ammo at that time. Late 80s, early 90s, you're still probably talking about probably a 1% to 2% fail rate.
Yep.
So,
1% out of one, that means 1 to 2 rounds out of every 2 boxes of handgun ammunition you buy. And that's all assuming you're buying 50 rounds to the box.
Yep. So.
That's unacceptable. And in self-defense ammunition, that's even more so unacceptable.
Yep. And if anybody from the big ammo makers say that their quality control has always been great, they're full of crap. That's like saying Remington has made great firearms in the last 10 years.
Well, there goes another sponsor that we never asked for, that we never had.
So.
Nor will we ever.
Right.
Actually, I like our independence. I really do.
I would love to have some sponsors, but it's definitely developing a relationship. But like I said, I'd never really bothered to pursue it because it's a lot of time and effort to get into it. So,
So anyway, what is the topic for tonight? Just the show notes?
Yeah, and we get lots of Patreon support, so that always helps.
Yep.
That's a big, huge thing. So yes, we're going to go over these. These are questions that we went through a couple of weeks ago and did not get completely through. So these are the ones we didn't get through. Paul Nelson said he's had factory ammo. He's had some with primer seated upside down. I just had some. I don't remember who the manufacturer was. It's pissing me off. But I was out at the range and I had some factory ammo that somebody gave me. And I thought it was set up for a tap rack drill. I actually had to pop the slide off because I pulled the trigger and didn't hear anything. So I actually took the gun apart, ejected the round, didn't even think about looking at that first because it was factory ammo, and I should have known better. And then disassembled the whole damn gun, looked down the barrel, there's nothing in the barrel, checked everything, and then I finally grabbed the cartridge, and sure enough, primer's in upside down. So, yes, I've done it with my own too, but I can fix it. That's the difference. If they don't catch it at the factory, you ain't gonna fix it. So, but They're just talking about some of the other benefits of hand loading versus everything else. All right, so first question. Not a reloading question, but it kind of is. And this is kind of the area we really haven't ever delved into, and I'm going to look at doing some delving into this area this year. We stick with the components. We stick with the equipment, and we stick with the reloading side of it. We don't talk about the unloaders much. And we definitely don't talk about optics. So he wanted to know, before I spend $2,200 on a Vortex Razor HD Gen 2 scope, is there any other scope I should consider for about the same price range?
Well, the hard thing here, Mike, is we don't know which scope he's actually talking about. Because in the Vortex line, they have, for the Gen 2, they have like 3 or 4 models. So we need to know if he's looking at a 1:6, a 3x18, or a 4.5 by 27, I think it is.
Travis, are they all the same price? $2,200?
I believe in the Vortex Razor HD line, they are about that same price.
Okay.
Mine was $2,000 for my 1:6.
Wow.
I guess here's my thing, though, not knowing any more than we do. My own experience with Vortex has been they are pretty freaking competitive on price. I mean, you really do get good value for Vortex. So I guess my initial thought is, if you're looking for a certain quality of glass, you're going to be really hard-pressed to beat Vortex prices and not give up something.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're looking at that, if that dollar amount is fixed, Vortex is going to be one of the better quality scopes you can buy at any price range. So, I mean, I can't say there's nothing else you should look at, but I'm saying you're going to have to set the bar a little high to beat Vortex when it comes to value for money, in my experience. They make really, no matter what price range, no matter what application, everything I've ever seen in Vortex's line, from a $200 rifle scope up to $2,000, they're all really good for the money.
Yeah, I've got a lot of their products, and I love Vortex. If I say it depends on what the guy's looking for, but if he's in the 1:6 category, there's a lot of decent options. Like Trigicon, they have their AccuPower, which is a 1:8, and I think retail on that's like 12 or 14. It's a 1:8. Sometimes the problem is you get into these higher priced optics, you're getting all the bells and whistles, but a lot of the untrained eyes won't be able to tell what they're paying that extra money for.
And that's another good point, because I mean, there are scopes in other catalogs and Vortex's catalogs for half this money that will do 80% of the same job. So the question really becomes, what scope are you looking at, and what are you trying to do with it that justifies a $2,200 cash outlay?
Right.
You know, because if you're looking for like a 1.6 or a 1:8, and you don't need first focal plane and all the bells and whistles, Vortex makes a Strike Eagle that is like less than a quarter that price. My dad's got one of them. They
have a Strike Eagle that's a 1:6 and then a 1:8, and I think they're both right around 400.
Yeah, but here's the thing: their second focal plane, they're not going to have as clear of glass. But at the same time, if he's looking at the longer magnification ranges, then he might be stuck in that HD Gen 2, because, you know, I find that with rifle scopes, the shorter range, the less magnification they have, they tend to be a little more forgiving. Mm-hmm. Like, go ahead.
I'm gonna go out on a limb, and we should probably just say, just for the conversation, that he's probably looking, let's just say, in the middle at
4 to 12,
3 to 18, or because I'm just looking at right now, they do have a 3 to 18 or 4.5 to 27 in the Gen 2 line.
Yep.
Because a 1:6 for that kind of for $2,000 is pretty expensive. But
especially considering its second focal plane.
Right, and so in that in that magnification range, there is a lot of good stuff. I think.
Well, to give you an idea, I went and found the thread, and he's using it for mountain hunting.
Okay, so
So distance and weight are your huge factors.
So I know Night Force has a really good optic. I don't remember what the magnification is, but it's their SHV. And it is, I believe it's around $1,400 to $1,600 for that one. And then Night Force also has their NXS, and that one is right around that $2,000, 2,200, I think. So I'm not looking it up right now, but I think that's what in that price range. I'll just look how much that is right now, but yeah, Night Force has some good options for. I mean, $2,200 is quite a bit for an optic, really. You shouldn't really have much of a problem finding a good optic. There's Swarovski, Night Force. You got that kind of money to spend. I don't really think you're limited.
Before we leave the topic of optics, let me just say, when I had my 280 Remington built, I put a Citron scope on. I believe it's a 5x26 magnification. I could be wrong. I probably am wrong, but I know it's a long range rifle scope. It's front focal plane, SIGHTRON, CitronUSA.com is their site or their website. But anyway, I paid about $1,200 for my rifle scope.
So the Night Force NXS is $2,090. It's a 5.5 by 22.
Okay.
And this is all I'm looking on Amazon for that. The Vortex Razor HD 5 to 20. You can get that one for $1,700. Like I say, if a guy's wanting to spend that kind of money, he should already kind of have an idea of what he wants to spend his money on, because at that kind of a price, like I said, some people won't know the difference from a high end from just kind of under that. So a lot of times when you're paying the big bucks, you're getting the best clarity. It's all about the glass, like the sharpness of the sharpness, the clarity, the coating on the lens.
So here's some other things to consider when you're looking at this. Okay, so you're looking at mountain. So there is a very good chance that you're going to be out in the middle of nowhere. And if something goes wrong, like say you lose a screw in a mount, and you have to get different mounts at your local hardware store, well, here's where your problem is with the Vortex. It's a 34 millimeter tube, custom rings.
Which one are you looking at? Because I don't think mine was a 30.
The 3 to 18 by 50 is a 34.
Yep, I can see that. Yep, 3 and 18 and the 4.5 27. They're both 34.
Now the Leupold Mark V that somebody suggested, it's a Mark V HD 3 to 6 by 18 by 44, is a 35. Whereas that Night Force, where'd it go? Is a 30. 30 millimeter rings are common nowadays. They used to not be. It used to be 1 inch and everything else you had to order. A lot of your hardware stores are carrying 30 millimeter rings. So that's something to consider. Otherwise, just buy extra rings and an extra mount and away you go. Or, if that optic breaks and you have to put a different scope on your rings, that's something else to consider. First focal plane versus second focal plane is going to be important because you are looking at long distances. You're looking at using a lot of zoom. for your mountains. You may be looking at if it's an elk, you may be looking at a 600-yard shot. So that's going to be a lot of zooming. Whether the fact that you can have zeros reset in your turrets is going to be important.
Durability. If you go on a once in a lifetime hunt, you don't want to have something, get banged up and
right. Eye relief may be maybe something important, depending on what rifle you have.
Mike,
So,
you touched on something that is very important, and that's being able to reset your turrets to 0.
all vortexes have that 0 stop. I know that.
yeah.
Good.
So does the Night Force.
Night
I
Force.
believe Loophole does also. I know most Loophole does. I can't imagine this one wouldn't. So, the nice thing about loopholes is they do have a little bit more give in your eye relief adjustment that I've noticed from personal. So, also, is it in the MOA or MILRAD? And what's the, what's your objective diameter?
Yeah, warranty. I know they all have great
Warranty.
warranties.
Yeah.
Vortex has a great warranty.
Vortex, you can run it over with the truck, send it back, and they'll ship it, but they'll ship you a new one.
I got the Gen 2E, the 1-6, and I was looking at that, and then I was looking at some other ones, and the clarity was by far the best on the Vortex.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, if my son, he's got the PST 1-4 on his rifle. That one's just as good to me, really. If you hadn't looked through one and then right away looked it through the other one, you wouldn't really know what you're looking at.
I think honestly, with the top of the line loopholes, the Night Force or the Vortex, it's going to come down to weight more than anything else. I mean, they're close. I'd rule out the loophole because it's only a 44, not a 50.
Yeah, I know the Vortex is pretty heavy. I didn't look at the weights, but I know the Vortex is quite heavy.
Yeah, it is 11 ounces more.
But at the same time, if that extra weight alludes to potentially better durability, you get into a
Right.
trade-off. I mean, it's
Exactly. Because you're climbing on a mountain, there's a good chance you're going to drop your rifle at least once. What's it going to handle for the shock? So, I mean, that's the thing is it's all great and good if you have a $5,000 scope. And I've never owned a Night Force. I can't speak to their durability or lack of durability. But I'm just proposing there's a company out there that makes a $5,000 scope. You buy that $5,000 scope because everybody says blah, blah, blah. You're out on the hunt of a lifetime. You're climbing up rocks. You've got your rifle slung and you trip and slip and fall backwards onto your rifle. Is your optic going to still be zeroed or not? Some optics are built to handle that. Some aren't.
By the way, the name Schmidt and Bender mean anything to you, Mike?
Yeah, I think that's a little out of his price range, though.
Yeah, it's $5,000.
So Schmidt and Bender is beyond $5,000 if you really want the nice ones, but
Oh, jeez.
they're also going to handle that. So
I have a question.
yes,
You touched on it a while ago, but you really never elaborated.
what's that?
What's MOA? What's MRAD?
oh god, Jim
Milliradians and minute of angle. They are
Milliradians.
measuring systems to be able to divide this. So you have some sort of measuring system to figure out that your bullet is hitting here, but your crosshairs are way the hell up here. It's a measuring system to be able to compensate and adjust with precision and consistency instead of just spinning a wheel and hoping you get it right.
Ryan Kleckner would be proud of you. That's about the best summarization I've ever heard.
I could go into detail and break it all down, go into how they came up
Year
with
and a half.
the and all that. But God, no. It's just easier to simplify it.
No, don't go down that rabbit hole. I was just being
Right.
terrible.
So
Hey, Mike,
Yes.
The weight on those vortexes is the one is 46 and a half ounces and the other one is 48 and
Yeah.
a half. The Night Force is only 31 ounces for the NXS.
Oh, okay. The one I had up, it was 36, 37. The one I had up was 37.
So yeah, weight, I know packing around that much,
Yeah.
you know, that's not including
And that,
mounts and
you
stuff,
know,
but
that's huge. I mean, that's holy crikey. So you go from 46 and a half to 31. That's almost a pound.
Well, that implies durability simply because the materials they use are heavier.
Not
Implies.
necessarily.
I said it implies, doesn't
Right.
mean guaranteed.
Right. So,
Yeah, because the material themselves, it seems like it would be a bit heavier.
right.
The walls of the tube, the diameter, well, not really the diameter of that would all be pretty much standard, but even the walls of the tube and the objective bell and even the ocular bell,
Mhm.
those walls would be thicker. At least that's the implication.
Right. I love Vortex, but the thing, if this is me, I'm taking the Night Force because it's 30 millimeter rings. It's a hell of a lot lighter. So that's kind of the things. I mean, you're down to nitpicking, which you're down to nitpicking when you're doing this, especially if you're dropping that much money on an optic. I'm just saying what my opinion would be.
Mike, have you looked through one of those Vortex Gen 2s?
I have not, but I've never looked through a Night Force either. I'm going
They're-
off other people's.
They're brighter. So think 25 millimeter to 30 millimeter.
Yeah. So
And
you're
then
talking that much of a
34
difference?
34 millimeter. It's a pretty dang good picture.
Okay.
yeah, so what the reason I went with the 1-6, because I was looking at the Trigicon their scope, and
Right.
theirs is a 1-8. Their AccuPoint, it's a 1-8. The clarity and how bright everything was looking through the 1-6 kind of seemed like it kind of tricked my eye into thinking I was getting more than a 1-6.
Okay. Well, I know Vortex makes an awesome piece of glass. I've compared them against Leupold because my buddy who owns a Weatherby was a Leupold fanboy. We were out hunting one day, and I had on my Tika I had a Nikon, a great piece of glass. It wasn't their top of the line, but it was about $400, so it was middle of the road for Nikon. And this was before Vortex. I'd even heard of Vortex. This was what, 10 years ago, 8 years ago. But we were out one night, and he's got a Mark III, I think, from Leupold on his Weatherby, and we did a comparison at right at dusk, and you couldn't see half the stuff out of his scope you could with mine. I know from looking at Vortex and comparing them to everything else, in their, a lot of their stuff from 2 and 3 years ago, it's not even a contest. The glass is clearer, the lighting is better, the lighting it picks up is better. And I didn't even think about the tube size between the two. I was thinking about other things, but yeah, that's going to be a huge thing. Is the tube diameter, that extra 4 millimeters makes a huge difference in light gathering. So
Yeah, I know on the Vortex line too, I was looking through their 1-8. I have their 1-6 also.
mhm.
But I was looking at the 1-8, and like the 1-6, especially the crosshair on it is so big compared to like my PST or the HD. It's more, really fine. So there's a lot of stuff like that taken into consideration. But I think for $2,000, the guys can pretty much pick whatever he wants.
Right. One of the things that Paul really hammered home, and it is actually honestly the truth, is unless you're saving the weight somewhere else, it is a mountain hunt, and a 3-pound scope is going to weigh down. So Paul said he was looking at something else. So he looked at the HD5, which, let's see how much that one weighs.
Yeah, I was looking if you can find it. I couldn't find it, but Night Force, their SHV, I think it's Shooting Hunting Varmint Scope is what the SHV stands for.
Yeah.
It seems like it's $1,200, but I couldn't find a weight on that one. That is a big downfall for the Vortexes. They are pretty heavy.
Yeah. So that Mark V HD that I was talking about from Loophole with the 44 millimeter objective is only 25 or 26 ounces. So you're talking 26 to 46, that's 20 ounces lighter. So
leave 2 beers out of your pack. You'll be okay.
right. I mean, like I said, there's other ways to compensate for the weight. And you know, it all depends. I've never done a mountain hunt. Obviously from looking at me, there's no way in God's green earth I could do a mountain hunt right now. So I can't really speak, but I can tell you from just regular deer hunting and traipsing out, weight matters. But there are probably other ways. I don't know if there's ways to save 2 pounds in weight.
There's an old GI saying, it says, ounces turn into pounds, pounds turn into pain.
Right. So I don't know if there would be. I guess that's kind of something you would have to think about. So,
And it would be up to the individual, because the air at 8,000 feet or higher, pretty dang thin.
right.
Especially for me at this point in my life, I
Yeah.
would probably lay down and die.
Well, I remember a couple of years ago, Eli, my son, went out to camp in the mountains in Colorado, and he had altitude sickness the first day he was there.
Wow.
So
A young gentleman like him, that's strong and healthy as he is. Wow.
right. Yeah.
Hey, Jason, what's the scope that you just got not too long ago? Isn't the one I'm thinking of is the one you got that throw lever for?
Oh, SWFA or SW, yeah, FA. The HD 4 to 20, something like that.
How much was that?
$1,300. That's 30 millimeter. It's a nice scope, but I've compared it to my buddy Dusty's Razor HD. He's got the high powered one. He's got way more light coming through it. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, and that's all has to do with that glass quality.
But he paid almost twice as much.
And well, yeah, the HD, that's what it stands for, the high definition glass.
One time I heard Tom Gresham say that when it comes to optics, it's all about the numbers. Numbers as in quality, numbers as in dollars and cents.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, most of us, Mike touched on a real good point earlier that we kind of ignored. And do we all, any of us, have the experience and the knowledge to take advantage of all that extra quality? I know that I don't. You know, Travis, you're shooting a 1-6, running a 1-6, probably on an AR. Am I right?
Yes.
If you were to take and put a Loophole 1-6 on there, I'm sure you'd be able to see a difference in all that. But the point is, if you didn't know any better, that Loophole would probably damn fine optics.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier is if you don't know what you're looking for, you're going to be fine, because I ran the PST 1-4 for a year or two, and it was a great optic. And then as soon as you look through the Razor HD, you're kind of like, ugh, I don't want to go back to that because this one's so much better.
Yep. But again, you're starting over with dollars and cents because you paid full retail for the first one. So I think you called it a PST, and then the Razor HD, you probably paid nearly double for it.
Yeah, and that, like I say, for what we're just using them in 3-gun, so That's why we don't need to have crazy magnification. But that HD is super clear. You have no distortions on the outer ring. It's just a great scope. But the 1-4, the 1-6, they're still good enough scopes. There was no reason really to get the HD other than I wanted it.
Yep.
Which is-
Bragging rights. Say again, Phil.
That's a valid reason.
Bragging rights.
Just wanted it. Same reason I want a 330 Lapua. No reason on earth I need it. I just want it.
By the way, Phil, in the entire state of Louisiana, there is no 8,000 feet.
That's what I was telling Paul. I'm like, the last time I was at 8,000 feet, I was in a 737.
You got it.
I'm pretty sure I'd get altitude sickness at 8,000 feet. Probably a quarter of that. Because I mean, I live at sea level.
5 years ago, I was out in Arizona and New Mexico, and I was up at about 5,000, 6,300 feet, somewhere around there, and I could tell a difference.
I can feel the last time me and my family went to Gatlinburg, I could feel my ears pop just driving to Gatlinburg.
Yep.
Just because over the course of that day, you go higher and higher and higher, and
Yep.
When you live within 30 feet of sea level, you can feel elevation real quick.
Oh yeah. Next.
So Phil, you had a guy commenting on a 300 blackout. I didn't see any pictures. I saw in the notes it said he had pictures, and I didn't see any.
I don't think
You want to talk about what he was talking about?
No, well, he actually did post a picture, but Brian from my podcast group, he was having issues with a 300 blackout that he had recently built or purchased. I forget which. I've got all those conversations run together now. But the two things he was running into was he was getting a dent right at the neck, which is pretty typical when the brass comes out, wax the shell deflector. It was recommended that he get the fuzzy side of a piece of Velcro and stick it on the brass on the shell deflector, just to kind of cushion that so you don't jack up your brass. But the other problem he was running into was his gun would run supersonic ammo just fine, but it wouldn't run subsonic, and he doesn't have a suppressor for it yet. Now this is factory ammo, by the way.
Well, I'm hoping he doesn't have a 16-inch barrel with the carbine length gas system, and hoping he's going to run subs.
I think that was eventually what we attracted the majority of the problem down to, was that his gas port size is probably a little bit undersized to be able to run subs without a can. If you put a suppressor on the end, it fixes this whole problem because you get a lot more gas back into the action. But as the gun sits today, it just doesn't want to run subs without a suppressor, without modifying the gas port size. Although it was readily pointed out to him that modifying the gas port size means that you might now have to mess with the buffer weight so that your gun doesn't beat itself to death with supers. But the thing I was batting around, and this really pertains more to hand loaders than Brian's case because he's using factory ammo, is there maybe something we could do from a hand loading standpoint to make that gun behave itself better if we were hand loading our own ammo? Like, would a faster or slower powder make those subsonic rounds want to actuate the action in a more consistent fashion, produce more gas?
Well, part of the problem is the 300 blackout, the subs, they were designed around a 10.3-inch barrel.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's really a whole lot you're going to be able to do on a 16-inch barrel with a carbine length gas system.
Because the gas system's too long and the port's too small.
Right. When they came out, that's what, for whatever reason, that's what they were coming up with, was a 16-inch carbine length gas system. And then they quickly realized that wasn't going to work. So they do have 16-inch barrels with a pistol length gas system that took care of the problem.
Mm-hmm. Which makes the gas tube much shorter and the port diameter a little bit larger.
Yeah. But if you're not using a suppressor, what's the point of shooting the subs?
I think his intention is to get a suppressor eventually, but I don't know, because he can.
Yeah,
like
I've seen those barrels for $89. So just when you get around to it, buddy, just get a a new barrel and throw that other one in the trash.
Yeah. But I guess that was my thought, was that, I mean, is there anything we can do within the parameters of 300 blackout without getting really crazy with it? Is there anything we can do to make the gun make more gas? Would a faster or slower powder do any good?
Sure, put a faster powder behind a heavier bullet. Because a faster powder is going to generate more pressure more quickly than a slow powder.
But it's still got to get all the way to the end of the barrel before it gets into the gas system.
That's
before it goes
right.
back down the gas
That's
system.
right. I'm not arguing that point, but you put a heavier bullet in front of it, that pressure is going to go up, Jim, not exponentially. It goes up in a linear fashion.
Yeah. But I do see where Travis has come from too, because the issue is that, once that bullet clears the barrel, your pressure is going to drop really quickly in the gas system. And so you have a fairly limited amount of time from the moment the bullet clears the gas block until that pressure drops off for the gas to be able to make its way through the gas system back to the bolt. Whereas with a shorter gas system or a longer barrel beyond the gas system, you'd have more time for this gas to do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, when I got my 300 blackout, I think the first barrel I got was the 16-inch carbine length. And I could, just for fun, I was trying to be frugal, casting up 230 grain lead projectiles and using, less powder, because that's, there was nothing I could do to get that to cycle right. I finally did my tax stamp and got my SBR, and I went to a 10.5-inch barrel, and I haven't had problems with anything. You'll build pressure signs if you're trying to push that heavier projectile too fast.
Yeah, well, 10.5 is what that cartridge is really designed to soar at. So,
Right.
Now both of you, did either of you have an adjustable gas block?
We
Yes.
actually, that was something we proposed to him, that he might wind up having to drill out the gas port and put an adjustable gas block on it.
So see, if he doesn't have an adjustable gas block, that's going to cost money.
Mm-hmm.
So you might as well just get the proper barrel. Like I said, they have the 16-inch lengths with the piston length gas system. So there's no need, because a good gas block. I think I run Seekins, and I think they're about $50 or so.
Yeah, they're about that.
So why not just get if you're going to spend money, get the prop. And that's the thing. Some guys don't want to, put in for a tax stamp or even do a pistol brace and build a pistol. So the only other option you really have for the 300 blackout with subs is 16-inch barrel with a shortened gas system.
Hey, Travis, question for you. What is the price of that tax stamp on the SBR, short barreled rifle?
The tax stamps are $200.
Thank
What's
you.
the wait time?
Yeah, the wait time's the worst.
About 7 months.
Higher. It's about a year.
On that? Okay.
That's
Well,
on-
I had to wait on my tax stamp. I had to wait 7
But Jim,
months.
you forgot you even had stuff in NFA jail.
I would
Time
never.
really flew for you on those.
Yep. I did forget about it.
Mhm.
It just
You
wasn't.
had two. You had two of them.
I haven't used either one yet. I did
couldn't
find
do
out
that.
one thing at this club I'm going to try to join. They said if you intend to use any Class 3 weapons, they want a copy of the tax stamp. They do.
A bunch of jackwagons.
No, the point is, it's to protect the club, and it also protects me.
That doesn't matter, honestly.
Yeah,
That's just
Yeah,
a
really-
really nosy.
that is. I don't think only people that can really ask to see that tax stamp.
ATF. Well,
Yep.
law enforcement in general.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, law enforcement.
So the
Well,
club just being nosy, they're not even protecting themselves because they're not legally liable. So,
That's the way the rules.
and you're kind of stuck with what you've got. So,
Mhm.
I say I love the 300 blackout because I call it the American AK. I shoot that thing for so cheap. I mean, it's just like an AK for me, and I shoot 125 grain, 153 grain, and 230 grain through mine, and I love it.
I'm tempted to build an upper for 300 blackout. I just got her stuff. I
Well,
got.
if you're going to just take that lower and turn it into a pistol lower, and then get you a 10 10.5 inch barrel.
Travis. Travis,
Yeah.
those bullet weights you're talking about, 123, 150, 230, are they surely do not all have the same point of impact?
No, they do not.
Okay, so that means you're going to have to adjust optics for that.
I don't shoot the 230s at all, really, because I don't have a suppressor. So I shoot the 125s and the 153s, and I've kind of come up with an in between.
I understand.
I think EOTech one time they had a, I don't remember what it's called, but it was their specific 300 blackout not hollow sun, EOTech optic, and they had 2 points of impact reticles in theirs. And that was pretty cool.
I can tell you right now, well, I used an hour experience. Travis, you had to pay $200 tax stamp for your 10.5-inch barrel, plus then to get a suppressor for that 300 blackout, that's going to require another tax stamp.
Or it'd be a double stamp rifle.
And another waiting period.
Yeah, that's the reason I haven't gone and gotten a suppressor, is because I just don't want to wait.
But you're still waiting. If you think about it.
True.
Yep, one way or another. So, all right, gang. So I'd say we've bludgeoned those two to death. So, and it's about that time. So,
Jim, do you remember Jason and I offered to get you a 300 blackout barrel, and you turned us down?
Sure do.
Well, we're not getting you one, even if you wanted it now.
I know that. I knew that at the time.
Like I said, I've been regularly tempted to build a 300 blackout. I just got to get this AR pistol built first, and that's temporarily tied up due to issues with employment, cash flow.
So you are building a pistol.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I've already got an AR. I've already got a AR built with an 18-inch barrel, fixed stock. I kind of wanted to make a modernized M16 A1 or A2, and now I've decided to go back and build a really short, like 10.5-inch AR pistol with a chambered in 5.56. Even though I don't like AR pistol, I know.
So loud. I would highly suggest a 300 blackout. If you already got a pistol lower, pick you up a 300 blackout upper. You'll love it, especially if you cast. If you cast, it would be so cheap for you to shoot.
But in the interim, I want ammo and magazine. I want ammo compatibility with what I already have. So what I'm gonna try is something like a cat can to at least try to project the blast and noise forward, so it doesn't just come straight back at me.
I have a 10.5-inch 223 upper, and I have one of those on there, and it made a big difference.
That's what people have been telling me, is that the regardless of what you call them, the little flash cans, that does definitely send the noise and the blast and the pressure forward of the barrel. So it's not going to be, I mean, it's going to suck for anybody that's, right dead even with a firing line, but no one should really be that far forward of me that they're going to get caught by it.
Yeah, I liked it. It seemed like for me, it also helped push the recoil straight back a little bit more.
Yeah, but that's my big thing. Honestly, I mean, I wanted having a full-length rifle. If there's one thing that it sucks at, it's being compact, because it's a fixed butt stock 18-inch barrel. Accurate as all day, the day is long, but it's not a small cut down AR. And I'd like something that I could use like truck gun type of situation. 300 blackout I'd like to play with, but I'm going to build this thing with 5.56 because I've already got 3 ammo cans full of stuff and making more all the time.
You haven't got into casting yet, have you?
No, Jim has tried very hard. I am leaving that devil on his doorstep. I don't need any more temptations. Just stop.
I know the 300 blackout buying ammo is pretty, pricey, but making your own, especially casting, makes it very, very affordable.
I figure when I get to that point, what I'm probably going to look at is Milsurp ball ammo teardowns. because I found, I think it was like 147 grain, 30 cal bullets. And I want to say they were only like 11, 12 cents a hit. I mean, you got to do some looking around to find it real cheap. But if you find like 7.62x51, just military ball ammo that's been torn down and the bullets are being sold by themselves without the whole loaded cartridge, you can get those fairly cheap every now and then. Maybe not casting cheap, but cheap enough for me.
Well, Phil, if you want to build you a 300 blackout upper, you let me know. I'll send you a stripped upper receiver.
I'll let you know when I get there. Like I said, right now I got to make sure my employer is going to pay me in a couple of weeks.
That had that stripped upper for Jim, but he turned us down. So I'll let you have it if you want it.
I never turn down free gun parts. Anyway,
Yep.
I think Mike wants to wrap us up.
So, yeah, free gun parts are always good. So,
Have you done anything with those free gun parts I gave you, Mike?
I haven't had time. That was my goal. That was one of the things I was going to work on Sunday until I woke up with a pinched nerve in my neck and I couldn't turn my head any farther than that.
I don't remember. Did you say you did go to the Polymer 80 booth at SHOT Show and seen their stuff?
Yeah, I stopped by and talked to him quick.
Are you thinking, because I know I didn't like the first gen Polymer 80 frame that I had. You looked at the newer ones like from Brownells and stuff?
Yeah. I was talking because at the same time I bought those two, the one I sent you and the one I've still got.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of the guys in the We Like Shooting Patreon group had bought them. And one of the guys had the same kind of issues that you did where the trigger didn't fit very well. And he came up with a hack for it. So I just got to go and I saved that somewhere. So I just got to go and look for that. So there was a couple of tips and a hack that he came up with for it. Because that was one of the problems with that first gen, or well, gen and a half Polymer 80 lower is it wasn't necessarily, I don't know if it wasn't that it wasn't made right, but it was made for their parts kit, not necessarily Glock factory triggers.
Yeah.
Is what was it explained to me. So, but there's ways around that. So, but yeah, that was going to be one of my projects for Sunday, and that went to heck in a handbasket. So,
I feel like Oprah over here. You get free gun parts. You get free gun parts. You get free guns.
well, speaking of gun parts, I will have a 300 blackout at some point in time.
And you do cast, so.
Yep, mine's. I've been talking to Stephanie from SX3, and she's been putting one together, putting a parts list together for me. So, at some point in time, hopefully before NRA, I'll get that from her.
And you're going pistol?
No, it's going to be a 16-inch rifle. So, because if I go subsonic, it'll be suppressed. So.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go see those guys here in a couple weeks.
Say hi for me. So.
I think I'm going to go hang out with the gun dudes and Full Ed Taco.
There you go. We got to get him on, so we got to set that up. Sorry, behind the scenes stuff. Anyway, I'll talk to you about that later, Travis. But want to take time to thank everybody who continues to tune in every week. Sorry for the goofy release of the shows with getting back from SHOT and being at SHOT. 236 was supposed to release that weekend. The Sunday before SHOT actually launched. There was problems with the internet where I was at, so I couldn't upload it right. And then by the time I finally got it uploaded, it was Thursday. So Mark didn't have time to get to it right away. By the time he got to it and did the final editing, I was back here and trying to get back into normal from SHOT. So finally got 236 posted Sunday, 2 days ago. And 237 will post early Thursday night. And then 238, which we're recording now, will post on its normal Sunday night. So kind of get 3 shows in like a week. So it's a little bonus after going dry for a little bit. But anyway, so thanks to everybody that continues to tune in. We greatly appreciate it. Thanks to all the feedback. I try and pay attention to the YouTube comments. I don't always miss them, or I don't always catch them. So if you made a YouTube comment and I didn't reply, I apologize. But we've got a bunch of emails we got to go do too. So we've got to have another email show. But as you can see, we've got a whole bunch of questions that we're still trying to get through. So, but we'll get to the email questions sometime in the near future. So, thanks to everybody who emails questions to reloadingpodcast@gmail.com, makes comments on the show notes at firearmsradio.tv/reloading-podcast. Thanks to everyone who sends us voicemails and texts to 608-467-0308. Thanks to everyone that hits up on Facebook in the various manners at the various places. If you have a reloading question you need an answer to now, go to the Reloading Podcast or go to the Reloading Room on Facebook. There is millions of hours of experience in that room, and there's been thousands upon thousands of questions. So somebody's probably asked the question you're wondering about.
Exactly.
Go ahead and use the Google feature, search for it. If someone hasn't asked that question, join and ask. Troll free zone. Every once in a while, somebody slips a troll post in, but they get slapped down pretty quick. So the admin team over there is just amazing.
We have a pretty hardcore, pretty dedicated, especially the top 2 admins as far as their work goes. I couldn't do better with those 2 gentlemen if I paid them. If they were getting paid, I don't think we could find better admins.
Yeah, those guys are pretty awesome.
The funny part is when you have 2 admins both trying to friggin' handle the same post at the same time, and then we're in the group saying, "Hey, do you know what happened to this post? I was about to do this at the other. It disappeared."
Oh yeah, yeah. There's plenty of times I'll see a post and I'll go to do. Oh yeah.
Yep. So. Yep. And what's funny is those 2 admins actually catch the same posting and they're competing and fighting with each other, and then they go back and post in the admin only group.
Right.
And they kind of give each other hell in a loving way. Those guys are fabulous. I couldn't ask for better.
If we've got something that we've given away on the podcast, especially like Entirely Crimson, Freedom Seed Brass, stop by their Facebook pages or their Instagram pages or Twitter if they're on Twitter, and thank them. You know,
I know I've gotten reports from all of them that we have had listeners purchase stuff from them.
Yeah. We greatly appreciate everybody who donates stuff. We greatly appreciate the Patreons who help fund all the different things we do. They help fund the equipment. They help fund. In fact, we just gave it away a Dillon 650. Come on. That's one of the things for the Patreons. If you want to be a Patreon, there's different levels. You can go to firearmsradio.tv/pledge and then look for the Reloading Podcast, and the information's there. I won't bore you with the details now, but greatly appreciate everybody. We just had another Patch of the Month member join up, so welcome to them. And they're all in the show notes. So if you look at the show notes, you'll see our list of Patreons, and then you'll see if we add new ones. So just grateful, great bunch of people. So on that note, keep your brass shiny.
Be an asset, not a liability.
Not a matter of if, but when.
Buy it cheap and stack it deep.
And remember, the casting demon lives at my doorstep, Phil.
And he's going to stay in your state. Keep him out of Louisiana.
There you go. There you go. Squeeze, don't yank that trigger, guys. Good night.
Good night, all.
Night, boys.